Good morning, Dawgpound South campers. This is the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical Elves Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Steve Gill, and we're going to talk about the schedule. I dove into it a little bit more, and let's face facts. This was the league giving the finger to the Cleveland Browns. I'm sorry. This is a crappy schedule. This is supposed to be the easiest schedule according to winning percentage of last year's opponents. But come on, this is ridiculous. You got a brand new head coach. Now, I always thought back in 2020, COVID, brand new head coach in Kevin Stefanski, and then they send the Browns on the road to play Baltimore, and then they give them a short week to host Cincinnati. I thought that was pretty crappy to begin the season. Well, this is ridiculous. You open the season against first four games against teams that made the playoffs. Now, yeah, I know one's Pittsburgh and they never win a playoff game, but still, Carolina made the playoffs. Tampa made the playoffs. The Jaguars made the playoffs. All right. Now look, you could say potentially the Steeler game, they chose not to have a bye week when they come back from Paris, which is up to the team. You know, you go overseas, you can choose to have a bye week. They didn't choose to have a bye week. The Browns did the same thing last year when they came back from London playing Minnesota, and they got their asses kicked the next game. So we can hope that that Pittsburgh game, and Cleveland plays Pittsburgh extremely well at home and extremely well in prime time and extremely well on Thursday nights. Now, Mike Tomlin in there, and he craps the bed on every Thursday night game. He is not coach primetime. So we'll have to see what Mike McCarthy does. But, you know, they got Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback again. I'm happy about that. I really am. And they get the Steelers twice in the first 8 weeks. Usually Aaron Rodgers gets better as the season goes. So that makes me happy. We'll get the Steelers out of the way by week 8. Aaron Rodgers will probably be in some hyperbolic chamber somewhere, and we won't have to worry about it. But anyway, all right. I know a lot of people are looking at this schedule and saying 6 road games, first 9 weeks, brand new head coach, brand new coaching staff. Well, most of the defense is back. But I just, you know, the NFL must really, really hate the Browns. I know they hate Jimmy Haslam because he gave Deshaun Watson all that guaranteed money, and that means the other billionaires would have to spend money, and there's nothing worse than a crying billionaire has to spend money. So, you know, the good news is they do get 4 home games in 5 weeks with the bye. The bye at week 11, that doesn't bother me. You know, and if you're anywhere between week 8 and week 11 for your bye, that's good. Then they 3 road games out of the 4 last games. Look, and they're all noon games. Well, I say noon, Eastern time zone. They're 1 o'clock, noon here in Nashville. So that doesn't bother me. I really don't mind that. I don't like the 3:25 games and the 3:15 games. I got to sit around all day and think about what's going to happen. I'm a tear the Band-Aid off type guy. You know, I just let's just get it over with. I mean, once I worked in a hardware store and I cut a tip of my finger off cutting glass, and they sewed it back on. And while I was at the emergency room, the pain they gave me, because it took so long, the pain medicine, the numb thing that numbed my finger was starting to wear off. And he goes, well, we'll have to give you another injection. And I'm like, how many stitches you got left? And he went, 4. I went, finish. That's the type of person I am. Let's just get it over with. So this schedule, if if the offensive line stays healthy, we get good quarterback play, which we'll talk about in a minute, and the running game works, which everything points to the running game working. Got signed a fullback. Also, the last draft pick, the kid from BYU, H-back, Royer of Cincinnati's already said they lined him up as an H-back. So that tells me they're going to run the ball. And they've got the horses to do it. As long as the offensive line stays healthy, yeah. And the defense, all they got to do is be above average. They don't have to be elite. If your offense is average, then the defense doesn't have to have so much pressure on it that it's got to play a perfect game. And we saw last year that this was a damn good defense, but they were breakdowns on a few games. The ending of the Minnesota game in London, that inexcusable. Allowing Tennessee to run all over you with a terrible offensive line. The Titans had a crappy offensive line last year. Allowing Buffalo running back 100 yards in the first half. Okay, so what this offense needs to do is just play above average. Be in the 13 to 15 ranking range. With this schedule, and remember, usually 5-6 teams don't make the playoffs 2 years in a row. So there are going to be teams that made the playoffs last year that are not even going to come close to it. And traditionally, the loser of the Super Bowl doesn't even make the playoffs again. So, but if you look at this schedule and its quirkiness, I know it's a load of crap. And its quirkiness, they could, if everything goes right, the ceiling for this team could be 10, 11 wins. Now, I'm not predicting that. That's not what I do. But if everything goes wrong, it could be a 6-loss team. But you got to have the great quarterback play. And that's where the Browns stand right now, their quarterback room. That's what's impeding them. If Todd Monken can get the most out of Shedeur Sanders, and he needs a lot of work. And if you don't believe me, take the blinders off and go back and watch last year's games. He needs a lot of work. But Todd Monken, I have faith that he can do it. Let's take a quick break. All right. I know someone who talked to a former NFL executive, and the question was Deshaun Watson. And this guy said he's toast. He's done. He said, I can't see him getting on the field this year with the injuries and the way he's played, the way he played when he was healthy. He goes, this guy's toast. The only reason you're hearing that Deshaun Watson, and I brought this up Thursday, the only reason you're hearing Deshaun Watson as a possible starter is because Jimmy Haslam wants to get something out of the money he spent. Well, first of all, you shouldn't have given him the guaranteed money there, Jimmy. That was your first mistake. But we can't go back and correct that. He will be let go day 2 of the 2027 NFL season. He'll be a June 1st cut, so they can take that big money, the dead cap. That's money they've already given him. Money already spent. They can split it up over 2 years. And listen, the cap goes up 8 to 10% every year. It would take another pandemic, like worse than COVID, for the salary cap not to go up at least 8%. I mean, you look at the schedule and you look at the way the NFL has gotten all this money from the streaming services, how many day games they would love to have a game on every week, every day of the week, Monday through Sunday. They already dominate sports news in this country. I always kid that they're not the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They own the room with the 800-pound gorilla. So they would love to have an NFL game on every night of the week because that makes them money. And that's what big billionaires want, more money. So let's look at the quirkiness of the schedule. I know a lot of people have asked questions like, when's the last time they started this season with 2 road games? Well, 1986. In 85, they just came off an 8-8 season, made the playoffs. Bernie was a rookie. But in 86, they had a damn good team. They started the season losing to the reigning Super Bowl champions, Chicago Bears, 41-31. And then they went down to Houston and beat the Oilers 23-21. That season was unique for several reasons. They had 2 3-game winning streaks during that season, and they ended the season on a 5-game winning streak. They ended the season 12-4, Central Division champions. I mean, they were phenomenal. 12-4. I know for your younger Browns fans, that's hard to believe, but they were a dominant team. And unfortunately, and kind of fortunately, that team is known for their 2 postseason games. The first one, double overtime win against the Jets. Everybody talks about how great they were there and how great that was. But then the following, the AFC Championship game was, and this is the only time I'm going to say this phrase. Usually this time of year, I do not speak this 2-word sentence. So this is the only time I'm going to say it. The next week, it was the Drive. Overtime loss to the Denver Broncos. Oh, God, I still remember that game. I thought they were going to the Super Bowl that year. So 1986, the last time they started with 2 road games, everything turned out pretty good. All right, 4 straight home games. Not so good. 1990, they finished 3-13. And yes, they still had Bernie Kosar and Eric Metcalf and Kevin Mack were the running backs. But they finished 3-13 in 1990. Matter of fact, during that 4-game, and there was no bye week mixed in at this time, but during that 4-game home streak, they lost every game. That's an unforgettable season for a lot of people. But so, as we look at this schedule, 4 home games. They only have 4 home games before Thanksgiving. I tell you, if I'm Todd Monken, I get the team together and I say, look at this schedule. This league thinks you're a bunch of losers. This league thinks you can't compete. And I would use this schedule as motivation every freaking game. That's what I would do. And, you know, as much as I've heard Todd Monken and the way he talks to the media, I think he'll do that. And I think he can convince this team that the NFL does not like them. So this schedule is a great motivation for the Cleveland Browns in 2026. Let's hope everything goes well. No injuries, no arrests, no nothing. We got a couple OTAs coming up. And then on my birthday, June 9th, mandatory veterans camp. So everybody will be in there. I'm sure we're going to hear more about how great Deshaun Watson looks. I just can't see it. I believe in situations and probability and the probability that this guy is going to be ready to play to start an NFL game after what we saw a couple of years ago. When he was healthy, he was crappy. So now he's gone through 2 Achilles tears and he's all of us supposed to be the second coming. I just can't see it. I can't. And it's not because I hate the fact of him having to start, which I do, but the probability is just not there for him to play. It's just remember this. Every time somebody says, well, Deshaun Watson looks good, I think he's going to start. It's Jimmy Haslam out there telling people that because he wants to get a return on his money. That's all it's about. It's not about if he's good. It's not about if he's healthy. It's just Jimmy Haslam wants to save face. So you better hope that Coach Monken can turn Shedeur Sanders around. I encourage everybody to go back and watch games that he played and he started. Not the preseason games, the regular season games. Go back and watch them. I have, and there are times I shook my head. But he's got a lot of work to do. But like I said, I believe Todd Monken can take any quarterback he's given and turn him into an adequate NFL starter. And that's all this team needs. All right. I hope everybody has a great Sunday. Sorry, I've been working in the yard. It's really, really hot here and the sun's out. So I had to break out my floppy hat so I don't get sunburn. Because as you can see, I have no hair. Everybody have a great Sunday. Let's hope the Cavs can win tonight. I don't want to listen to how many times someone got number one reps because the Cavs aren't playing. The Cavs take it away, take the energy out of the Browns room, and when all the local media gets upset. So let's hope the Cavs can bring it home tonight, move on to the Eastern Conference Finals. So this has been the Cleveland Browns Dawgpound South podcast, part of the Fanatical Elves Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Steve Gill. Thank you for watching, listening, following, and subscribing. We here at the Fanatical Elves Network are just Browns fans. We're Browns fans just like you. If you're upset about something, I can guarantee you we're upset about the same thing. So everybody, have a great day. And as always, go Browns.